Hey, hi everyone, and welcome back to our weekly live stream. My name is Alicia, and in this week's live lesson, we are going to talk about how to use the third conditional. What is the third conditional? The third conditional, for example, is this grammar pattern. If I had something, something, I would have something, something. So we are going to practice making and using this grammar point today. We're going to talk about why we need this grammar point, how we make it, and we're going to talk a lot about the different types of third conditional sentence we can make. So we're going to practice positive statements, negative statements. We're going to practice making mixed statements, and we're also going to practice questions. So we're going to use a lot of example sentences today. I hope that it's helpful for you in understanding this kind of complex grammar point. So as you join, please make sure to hit the like button and share this video so that other people can find today's lesson. That would be very helpful for our team. Also, send a message in the chat if you're watching live, and I will try to say hi to you. While we wait for everyone to join us today, please make sure to take a look at the banner at the bottom of the screen. This banner says, test your level now. So the team has created, if you have not seen recently, the team has created a level check test for you. So if you're one of those people that's like, I don't know what my level is, I have no idea what I should study next, I'm just kind of not sure where I should start, you could go to our team's level check page. I'm sending you a link right now to show you. So you can go to this page. The link is below the video if you're watching on YouTube. Where is it? There it is. Watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching on Facebook. You will find this page right here. You can log in with your name and your email address if you have an account. If you do not have an account, you can get one for free. So go down on this page to see an example of the level check that you will, the level check results you will get. So after you take the test with your information, you will get some recommended pathways, some recommended courses and lessons depending on your level. So if you don't know what to do next, take a look at this. Hopefully it will help you, yeah? So this is EnglishClass101.com, below or above the video. So check the links there. Okay, that is announcement number 1. Announcement number 2, as always, if you have questions for me, please send me your questions. I need your questions. Please send them to me, but please send me your questions on the official Ask Alicia question submission page. That is at EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. That is a very long URL. So please check the YouTube description for this, or check any Ask Alicia video on YouTube. You can find that. If you send me your question in like Facebook, in Instagram, in a YouTube comment, I'm not going to see it. There are too many questions all over the internet. So send it to me at the official submission page. I will 100% read your question. So please send it to me. I always need your questions. Really, that's true. So please send it to me there. Okay. Everything looks okay. I think everything is rolling now. That is really great. So let's get into today's topic. So if you missed it, today I'm going to talk about how to use the third conditional. What is the third conditional? So this is a grammar point we use to talk about unreal situations in the past. So we're going to use a lot of example sentences today. This will be a really good grammar refresher, I think, about this point. So if you haven't, also, if you've just joined, I see many people have joined now, make sure to like this video. I'm going to do it now. Make sure to like this video and share it so that other people can find the lesson. It really helps us. Okay, I did it. So let's look at today's lesson boards now. So today we are going to use a lot of example sentences to talk about this grammar point. So first, we're going to look at an introduction. What is the third conditional? How do we understand it? How do we make it? Second, we're going to look at positive statements and negative statements and pronunciation points. And third, we're going to look at mixed statements and question patterns. We have a lot to do. All right, I think that everybody is here now. Say hi quickly in the chat. We have lots to cover today. Kayla, Master, yeah. Hi, what's up? Alfredo, hello. Annabelle, hello. Fernando, what's up? Conwell, hello. Munir, hello. From Afghanistan in Chicago. That's cool. Facebook, are you here? Facebook's here. Hi, Ria and Melissa and Balai. Good morning. Jean, John, hello. Tri from Cambodia. Wow, very cool. So many different countries here. Awesome. Okay, let's go. We have a lot to do today, even more than usual. So, first, what is the third conditional? What is this grammar point? Okay, I'm going to speak a little more slowly now. So, the grammar point for today is the third conditional. This is a grammar point that expresses an unreal past condition or status and an unreal result. So what does that mean? Unreal past condition and an unreal result. Okay, this is kind of difficult to understand, right? So let's imagine this, let's think about this on a timeline, yeah? This star is now, this lesson you're watching. Hey, so here's now, this is the future. We are not going to think about the future now. For this grammar point, we need to look at the past, okay? So this grammar point expresses some unreal past situation. That means this thing did not happen, okay? This thing did not happen. And we want to imagine a result. The result also did not happen, okay? So you might think, why do I want to talk about something that didn't happen and the result of something that didn't happen? That seems crazy. That seems like a waste of time. Why do I need to know this? So we use this grammar point to give advice, to give feedback, to give suggestions, to talk about changes in our behavior. So for example, if you make a mistake, or if your coworker makes a mistake, for example, and you talk about the mistake, you talk about the problem, we use this grammar point to note how we would change our behavior. We'd say like, oh, well, if this situation was different, the result would be different too. So we use this grammar point often when we're talking about like making changes to our behavior, okay? So I know this seems kind of strange to understand, like why do I need this? But we use this one like when building our relationships, yeah, with our teammates, with our family, friends, partners. So we use this to talk about how we change our behavior or how we might change our behavior, okay? So let's look at how we make this grammar point, and then we're going to get into some example sentences, and I'm going to break down what's happening so we can understand the meanings and the uses, okay? So let's look at how to make the third conditional. So with a conditional sentence, there are two basic parts to a conditional sentence. We have the if clause, the if clause. So if I blah, 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 the if clause starts with if, so it's easy to see, okay? So in a third conditional type sentence, the if clause uses past perfect grammar, okay? So that means had plus the past participle form of a verb. I'm not going to talk about past perfect in this lesson. I have other videos about this. So we're going to use past perfect today. Then, in the main clause, so the part that is not the if clause, the main clause uses would have plus the past participle form of the verb, okay? Would have verb here in the main clause. And we can also use the negatives here. We're going to practice all of these today, okay? So let's look at one example of this, okay? So if clause and main clause, two parts, yeah? So here is a very simple example of a third conditional sentence. If I had known you were in trouble, I would have helped you. If I had known you were in trouble, I would have helped you. Let's break this down. Here is my if clause, yeah? It starts with if. If I had known, right here, had known, this is my past perfect grammar structure, yeah? We have had plus the past participle form of the verb, okay? So not have known, that would be present perfect, yeah? Had known. If I had known you were in trouble, okay? So this sets it up. I would have helped you, okay? So my main clause is here after the comma. I would have, right? Would have, past participle verb, helped. I would have helped you. So we can see the two parts of the grammar, yeah? What does this sentence mean now? So if I had known you were in trouble, I would have helped you. This means, we know, these are two unreal things, right? If I had known you were in trouble, this means in the past, I did not know you were in trouble. Therefore, I couldn't help you. This person wants to say, if I had this knowledge in the past, if I had had this knowledge, my action would have been to help you, right? I did not know. So you can kind of think of this kind of sentence as saying, this was not true and this was not true, right? These two things are not true. They did not happen. But I want to express my idea in that situation, right? So we use this kind of sentence to say, like, in the future, please tell me so I can help you, right? We're talking about how to change behavior. Like, oh, I didn't know you needed my help, right? Like, I want to help you, right? So we use this kind of grammar point to ask people sometimes to change their behavior, right? So we can do things differently as well, okay? So this is our first example sentence of how we use the third conditional. So I know you probably have many questions. I'm trying to check it out live. Let's see. Okay, Miguel wrote, if I had enough money, I would have gone to the USA. If I had had. So an interesting point here, past perfect. If your verb is have here, you need to use two hads in a row. If I had had enough money, I would have gone to the USA. Okay, some of you are already sending example sentences. Nice. I'm trying to check. They're very long example sentences today. Juampi on Facebook says, if I had turned on my computer earlier, I would have started watching the class from the beginning. Okay, if I had turned on my computer earlier, I would have started watching the class from the beginning, or I would have seen the class from the beginning, maybe? Maybe that's how I would express it. Yeah, nice one. Okay, so some people are sending different conditional patterns. Some people, I see already a few people are sending different conditionals. So today, if you're joining live or if you want to write a comment after this has gone live, I encourage you, take a moment, check your grammar. Your if clause should use past perfect. Some of you are writing will. That's automatically a red flag, yeah? You should not use will in these, right? You're not talking about the future, right? So check your grammar. Before you hit send on your comment or before you hit send in the live chat, check your grammar. If clause should use past perfect. Main clause should use would have past participle verb. Take 10 seconds to read your example sentence again. Learn to check yourself, yeah? Okay, let's go to a quick break. So if you missed it earlier, the team has a level check test. If you want to get some ideas, some recommendations for your studies, check this out. I showed this earlier. If you missed it though, here it is again. So the team has a level check, an assessment test you can use to get some ideas for courses to study, for pathways to take on our website. You can find a bunch of my lessons, a bunch of my videos there. So if you're not sure what to do, take a look at this. You can get free. It's all free. It's all free. You can get free access to this test at EnglishClass101.com. You need a free account there. You can make it for free. You need your name and your email address to sign up, and then you can access the test. So check this out if you want to get some ideas for your studies. Okay, cool. So with that, let's continue on to part 2. Okay, so let's go to part 2. If you haven't, also, if you're just joining, make sure to hit the like button and share this video. It really does help us with the algorithm. It helps other people to find the lesson, yeah? Oh, good, some examples are coming in. I'm gonna try to check them live. Today's examples are very long. Let's see. Emblem, if I had known you were coming, I would have left the house earlier. Very close. Not if I had known you are coming. If I had known you were coming. Right? Past tense, yeah? Very, very close. Nice one. Okay. Cesar says, if I'd known about the meeting, I would have gone. Perfect one. Nice one, Cesar. If I had finished studying English, I would have been a teacher. Oh, okay. If I had finished studying English, I would have... Well, nobody finishes studying a language, right? It's difficult, right? We are always studying. I still learn new English words all the time, okay? Other examples, Hugo says, if I had checked the engine before if I had checked the engine before I started, I wouldn't have had this water pump problem. Nice effort. That was a challenge sentence, yeah? You had two past, unreal past situations there. Just do the past perfect for the first one, yeah? If I had checked the engine before I started. So past perfect rules still apply there. Okay, very nice efforts. They are long. I'll try to check many people today. So if I missed you now, I'll try to check you later. Let's go to the longest part, but probably the most helpful part of today's lesson. So in part 2 today, I want to break down positive statements and negative statements, and then we'll go to mixed statements too. And I want to look at what's happening here and talk about how positives and negatives change what we communicate with this grammar. Okay, so let's take a look. Positive statements. Okay, so let's use the same grammar, positives, and break down what's happening here. So let's look at a very, very common one. I think I saw some people send similar examples to this already. So, if I had studied more, I would have passed the test. If I had studied more, I would have passed the test. So let's break this down. Here's my if clause. It starts with if. And after that, we have a comma. This marks the main clause. I would have passed. So again, here I have had studied. Yeah, my past perfect grammar structure. I had studied more. This means more than I did. If I had studied more than I did, I would have passed the test. So again, this refers to an unreal situation and an unreal result, right? This sentence means I did not pass the test, right? So this sentence means I did not pass the test, or it communicates I did not pass the test. This person wants to express this action was necessary. So they're saying, I didn't study enough. If I had, right, if I had studied more, then I would have passed the test. So this did not happen, and this did not happen. Though this sentence means the speaker probably studied a little bit, right? They studied a little bit. We know that because more is here. If I had studied more than I did, I would have passed the test, okay? So we communicate this unreal thing here. So I would have passed the test. This means I did not pass the test. Okay, let's go to the next one because we have a lot to cover. So next one. If you had come to the meeting, you would have heard the news. If you had come to the meeting, you would have heard the news. So let's break this down. Here's our if clause. If you had come to the meeting, again, this did not happen, right? You would have heard the news. Also did not happen, right? So what are we saying here? So this is saying if you had come to the meeting, that means you did not come to the meeting, right? We're saying you did not come to the meeting. You would have heard the news. That means you also did not hear the news, right? So we are saying if this thing in the past happened, if it had happened, then you would have this information. If you had come to the meeting, you would have heard the news. So unreal situation, unreal result, okay? So again, we use these kinds of sentences to often talk about how we want behavior to change in the future, right? So this is like, for example, a new staff person, or maybe a staff person that's learning the rules. I don't know. Maybe we're trying to communicate like, you should have done this, right? So we sometimes use this grammar point to kind of not punish people, but communicate they should make a change somehow. Okay? All right. Good. I'm looking for other examples. Okay, I don't see any yet. So let's go to negative statements now. So let's practice some negative statements, because I think this maybe is difficult. Negative statements and mixed statements are maybe more difficult than positive statements. The same rules apply. We are talking about unreal situation, unreal results, but we have negatives to think about now. What does this look like? Let's take a look. So, in the negative statements, my if clause is negative and my main clause is negative. So both parts of the sentence are negative, okay? So, if my coworker had not called me, I would not have known about the project updates. So again, if my coworker had not called me, I would not have known about the project updates. What does this mean? We have a negative, right? So I said, this means it's not true, right? If my coworker had not called me, this means my coworker called me. My coworker called me, so we know that. And I would not have known about the project updates, okay? What does this sentence mean? This sentence means the reason I know about the project updates is because my coworker called me, okay? I'm saying it's thanks to my coworker that I know about the project updates. So if my coworker had not communicated with me, I would have no information. This is what we communicate with this grammar point, okay? So it's like saying, it's another way of kind of saying like, oh, this was really good behavior, right? Or this was really helpful behavior. I'm so glad my coworker contacted me, yeah? Okay? All right, let's continue to the next one. The negative one is a little more challenging. That's okay. Okay, let's go to the next one, and then I'll check the chat for your examples. One more negative then. If I hadn't forgotten my wallet at home, I wouldn't have been late for work. If I hadn't forgotten my wallet at home, I wouldn't have been late for work. So this again means if clause, not true, right? If I had not forgotten my wallet, there's a negative here. This means I forgot my wallet. So think of the if clause here as the opposite, right? So the negative here, like had not forgotten, right? This means I forgot. I did, right? So I forgot my wallet. And then I wouldn't have been late for work. This means the speaker was late for work, right? So in this sentence, the speaker uses this grammar point to express a reason for their behavior, right? So the speaker is saying, oh my gosh, I forgot my wallet today. Like I had to go home and get it. And so I was late for work, right? So they're using this grammar point to express a reason for their behavior. They're saying, this is the only reason I was late for work today. If I hadn't forgotten my wallet at home, I would not have been late for work, okay? So we use this again to express, our kind of reasons for behavior, desired changes in behavior, and so on, okay? All right, so I'm looking for your questions. Let's see. Maybe, William, if you did not have English classes, I would not understand this class. Very close, but reminder, that's a different conditional pattern from today's lesson, yeah? So I know today's grammar points are kind of challenging. I chose a challenging lesson today. Take a few seconds and check to make sure your grammar matches this grammar, yeah? This is how we make the third conditional, okay? Luciana says the result also has to be negative, right? It does not actually have to be negative. So in this, in my example sentences today, I have three groups. of types of sentence. We have a positive where the if and the main clause are positive. We have the negative sentence I created with if and result are both negative. We are also going to look at mixed sentences. One is positive and one is negative. So I hope that will answer your question. So the result does not have to always be negative. No. All right, I'm trying to check examples from many different people. Very close, Max. If I had gone early, I hadn't had this issue. If I had gone early, I wouldn't have had. So I think, yeah, maybe if you're like, oh, the sentence is so big, what should I do? Try to break your sentence down. Try to break it into the two parts. Check the two parts, yeah? Check your if clause first, check your main clause second. Does my if clause use past perfect? Does my main clause use would have past participle verb? So this is how you can check yourself as you make your example sentences. Okay, let's go. Oh my gosh, so much in this lesson. Let's go to the last point for part 2. Very quickly, reduced sounds. Ooh, this is hard to see, isn't it? Okay, reduced sounds. That means short sounds, yeah? So I used some reduced sounds, or I wrote some reductions here. So we use hadn't and wouldn't for negatives with this grammar point. So at native speed, I would say if I hadn't forgotten my wallet. If I hadn't forgotten my wallet at home, I wouldn't have been late for work. Whoa, right? So we make these sounds really short. If I hadn't forgotten. So if I hadn't, right? This means had not. We do this with the positive form too. If I had studied becomes if I'd studied. If I'd studied more, if you'd studied more, if he'd studied more. So use the apostrophe D after your subject there, yeah? And when you use would have and would not have, we change it to would've and wouldn't have in speech. So this, for example, I wouldn't have been late becomes I wouldn't have been late. I wouldn't have been late. So wouldn't have, or even faster, wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been late. So you can listen for these patterns in media too, because we usually use these in everyday speech. We tend to reduce these really common grammar patterns, like when we have these set patterns, wouldn't, hadn't, and so on. We make them very, very short. So quick pronunciation point. All right. Looking for some examples. Oh my gosh. If I use had, should I use wouldn't? I'm not sure about your question, Bitanzo. For today's grammar point, we are using had and past participle verb, and then would have past participle verb. That is today's grammar point. Maybe I'll make a whiteboard video. I have to check and see if I have a whiteboard video about the third conditional. But if you can search before me. I'm live right now. I can't search, but if there is one, I'll put the link in the YouTube description so you can review for some homework. Yeah, and if there isn't one, I will make one. Okay, so I hope that will help you. Okay, let's continue because I'm already out of time, but we have to go to the last section. Okay, so the last section for today is mixed statements. So a mixed statement is same grammar, of course, but one part is positive, one part is negative, yeah? So what does this mean? How do we understand this? So let's look at these and break them down. So first one is, if I had eaten lots of healthy food last year, I wouldn't have felt so tired all the time. It's a long one, right? So if I had eaten lots of healthy food last year, I wouldn't have felt so tired all the time. All right, so what is happening? Here, my if clause is positive, right? If I had eaten lots of healthy food last year. Okay, so we know it's always the opposite, right? The meaning is the opposite. The truth is the opposite, yeah? If I had eaten, this means I did not. I did not eat lots of healthy food last year. Okay, my main clause, I wouldn't, here's a negative, I wouldn't have felt so tired all the time. Okay, this means I did feel tired all the time, right? So we have this negative that tells us the truth is the opposite of the grammar, yeah? I wouldn't have felt so tired all the time. So this is expressing, oh man, I didn't eat a lot of healthy food last year. I felt tired a lot. we're talking about how we might change that behavior. If I had eaten lots of healthy food last year, I wouldn't have felt so tired all the time. Okay? So we use the two in a mix this way. All right? Good. Some examples are coming in. Annabelle on Facebook says, if I'd gone to the concert, I would have had a great time. Perfect sentence. Well done, Annabelle. Nicely done. Okay. Elord says, why is it come instead of came? That is the past participle form of the verb come. Yeah? So came is the past tense, simple past tense. He came to the party. Yeah? Past tense. We are using the past participle verb form today. Yeah? Okay. Okay, let's continue on to the next one because I'm out of time. I'm already late. So one more then. So this one, also a mixed statement. If I hadn't overslept, I would have arrived at the airport on time. If I hadn't overslept. Overslept means I slept too much, right? Everybody has had this experience. I slept too much, right? If I hadn't overslept, I would have arrived at the airport on time. So what does this mean? This means, one, I overslept. Here's the negative. If I had not overslept, so I did, I overslept, I would have arrived at the airport on time. This is positive, which means I did not arrive at the airport on time. We want to talk about how we might change our behavior, or how it would have been different. Okay? All right, quickly then, let's finish up with a couple question patterns. Of course, we can use this grammar to ask people questions about their decisions, right? Like, in this situation in the past, what would you do, right? What would you have done, right? So let's look at these and then we'll be finished for today. So, if you had known about the problems with the project, what would you have done differently? So this question, this type of question, is asking you, the listener, to answer with your result, your unreal result. So if you had known about the problems with the project, this means, so you did not know about the problems with the project in this situation. But if you had known, what would you have done differently? So this type of question is asking you to share your idea for the unreal past result. Yeah? So what would you have done differently? This is a common question in like a job, like interview or job review situation. What would you have done differently? Okay? Let's go to the last sentence. Whew, so much today. So, if he had invited you to the party, would you have gone? If he had invited you to the party, would you have gone? So, this shows us he did not invite you to the party. He did not invite you to the party. But if he had, would you have gone? So this part, would you have gone? This is a simple yes or no question. Yes, I would have gone. Or no, I would not have gone. So you can see we can use this yes or no pattern. Would you have? Wouldn't you have? Or we can use an information question. This one, what would you have done differently? Where would you have gone? Who would you have seen? We can use these question words at the beginning of our main clauses to ask for information. I wanted to talk more about this, but I'm already out of time. So I think maybe I can make some more lessons, some whiteboard lessons, and some other live streams about third conditional, because it is a very challenging grammar point. Sure. All right, I'm super late, so I have to end. So I will, let me quickly take a look at the chat. I don't see other examples. I see many people saying hello. All right, so maybe this is a challenging grammar point, maybe a good one for many people to study. That's a good thing. So I'll show you today's lesson boards if you want to take a screenshot so you can practice more. So this is what we talked about today. First, what is the third conditional? Oh my gosh. And then second, we talked about positive statements and negative statements. And finally, we talked about mixed statements and questions. Oh my gosh, we covered so much stuff. So again, today I decided to try a very challenging grammar point. Well done, well done. Thank you to everybody who sent some ideas in the chat. If you want to practice this more, like I said, try to break your sentence, your example sentence, into these two parts. Try to make if and main clause separate and check your grammar in those two parts. So this can be a way for you to check yourself. So thanks for joining me this week. Yeah, maybe I'll review and see if there are some more lessons I can make about this topic. All right, but I have to finish this week. So let's wrap it up. I will, of course, be back next week. Here is next week's lesson information. Next week, I'll be back September 21st. That will be Wednesday, September 21st at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please use your Google skills, or you can set a Facebook reminder or a YouTube notification, or if you follow me on Instagram, I always post a link and a topic reminder in my stories. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to talk about transportation with phrasal verbs. Everybody loves to practice phrasal verbs, right? So we're going to talk about transportation. So everyday transportation sorts of things, like how to go someplace, how to take a plane and a bus, and the phrasal verbs that we use to do this. Okay, cool. So please join me again next week. All right, I have to finish up there. Oh my gosh, so much to do. But don't forget, of course, if you want to, after this lesson ends, take the Teams level check test. Definitely do that so you can get some recommendations for things to study next. So you can find this from this page below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching on Facebook. You will find some recommendations, some pathways, some courses, and a bunch of my lessons that you can study with. So I hope that's helpful for you. All right. I have to say goodbye. So thank you so much for liking and sharing this video. Thanks for participating. Thanks for doing your best this week, as always. Have a great day. Have a great week. Come follow us on social media. Come follow me on social media. And I will see you again